What is up, Auburn fans? How are we doing on this Sunday morning? I am Blake Lane. I am your host of Auburn Primetime Live. And today we're here to talk about the Auburn baseball Tigers. And their season has officially come to an end in the Auburn Super Regional. They were swept by Coastal Carolina Friday night, lost a heartbreaker, come back yesterday, and dropped another heartbreaker late. And you finish on the year 41-20. 7-3 in SEC series. I think that's super impressive. 17-13 conference record. Once again, very impressive. You were the number 4 overall national seed, something that had never been done in Auburn baseball history. You hosted a regional at Plainsman Park. You hosted your first ever super regional at Plainsman Park. And there was a lot of highs in the season, right? And something that I'll take with me on this team and why this team was so special is because last year you went 8-22 in the Southeastern Conference and you missed Hoover, the SEC tournament. You missed postseason baseball. Your season was short. It was short lived, and it wasn't fun to have to go through that last year. But this year, you attack the portal. You bring guys in like Cade Fisher. You bring guys in like Samuel Dutton, and so on and so forth. And you find your way back in this position to have postseason baseball at Plainsman. And you see the extra seating that they put in at Plainsman just to accommodate everyone to get inside of that park and be loud for the Auburn Tigers. So, all in all, yes, I'm upset. I'm hurt. I wanted to go to Omaha, Nebraska. It's been a dream of mine. I thought this Auburn baseball team could win a national championship, and I felt like everything was setting up for them. There was just some questionable things that happened, and that's baseball. There was a couple decisions that were made. That's baseball. There was a couple big flies that were hit by Coastal Carolina. That's baseball. It happens like that. And so you didn't play your cleanest baseball of the year. And in fact, I think we played our worst baseball of the year. Even though we got swept at Georgia and we got swept at Texas, I still think this weekend was the worst I have seen us play all year. And you can't do that against a team like Coastal Carolina because everybody wants to throw out, oh, well, they play in the Sun Belt. They play in the Sun Belt. It doesn't matter what conference they play in. It is baseball. This Auburn team lost a UAB this year. They lost a Holy Cross, and you want to sit here and tell me that, oh, well, they play in the Sun Belt. It doesn't matter. It's never mattered what level of baseball you play because it's the weirdest game in the world. It's the greatest game in the world, but it's the weirdest game in the world, too. Anything can happen in the game of baseball. So, let's get in here and talk about game one because I think this was a must win game for the Auburn Tigers, especially with Fluky on the mound for Coastal Carolina. And they were saving Morrison for game two. I really felt like Auburn had to win Friday night to win this series. And it didn't happen. And once again, there was some things that went on that we couldn't control, like weather and, you know, it happens. I really feel like that weather delay, yeah, we come out afterwards and we were really hot, but I feel like that was the worst thing that could have happened for Auburn. And the reason is because you brought Carson Myers in relief and he only got to pitch 2 innings. And so you wasted Carson Myers. And I know we didn't have any control over the weather, but you wasted him and he wouldn't have been available until Sunday. And so it was really, really tough for me to bounce back from that. And I was just like, oh man, you lose Carson to only 2 innings and the rain shows up and it's a 2 hour delay. And it was just really unfortunate for things to go like that. But Sam Dutton, 3 2/3 innings, gives up 6 hits, 6 runs, 1 walk, 3 Ks, and gives up 3 home runs, y'all. I did not expect this from Sam Dutton. Sammy D was he was a disappointment. Let's call a spade a spade. He was a disappointment, and some people think that he was a disappointment for the last month of the season, or around that South Carolina series where he started getting shelled a little bit. And I thought he threw pretty good last week against Stetson, but he just started giving up a lot of hard contact, and he was missing spots, leaving the breaking ball over the middle of the plate, leaving the puff fastball over the middle of the plate. Maybe it was arm fatigue. I don't know, but he got hit. 6-hole Pato took him yard twice. One was the 3-run shot to put them up 5-1, and then man, their catcher, the Bodine kid, uh, that dude, he was phenomenal. And I know he hit 2 bombs in the Friday night game. So we didn't capitalize with Sammy D on the bump, and it made us have to go into our bullpen extremely early. Carson got burnt because of the weather delay. You're down 6-1. You're reeling, but then you slowly started ticking away. Right, a hit here, a sack fly here. You started chipping away, and Eric Snow comes up with the big fly. Bang! I mean, he ties it up 6-6. What a swing! Plainsman was electric, right? And at that point, I was like, okay, we're back in it. We're not losing to Coastal. They're in their bullpen. We've got this. It's ours to lose. And Griffin Graves comes in, and he throws 3 innings, gives up 0 hits and 5 Ks. I thought it was the GG game. Good game, Griffin Graves. All right, it was the Griffin Graves legacy game. Now, a guy that hasn't had much run this year, and I get what the Auburn coaching staff was doing. I get it, but for you to pull him, and he was giving up 0 hard contact. There's 2 things I look at when it's time to pull a pitcher. For me, I look up hard contact. Are these guys starting to barrel balls up? Like Andreas Alvarez yesterday. I was like, okay, they're starting to seem a little bit. It might be time to go get him. Have they lost command? Are they all over the strike zone? Are they missing spots? Is it tough to for them to kind of hone it in? Are they falling behind in counts? And that's my third point. Are you putting hitters into hitters counts? And I didn't feel like Graves was doing that at all. And I felt like when he did fall behind 1-0, 2-0, and he did get in a hitter's count, I felt like he was dominating with the fastball, 93, 94 miles an hour, and it had late life on it. I thought he was very, very impressive, and the slider was electric. And that's all he really needed. He just had the fastball slider combo, and he was killing them with it. And I felt like they really struggled against left-handed pitching. And, the Auburn Tigers. But somehow we kind of hit left-handed pitching this weekend and didn't hit right-handed pitching. So that it was the Uno reverse card for us. But that is what I look at, and that is what I try to tell people about pulling Griffin Graves is I look for those things when pulling a pitcher, and I don't think Griffin Graves was giving up hard contact. I don't think he was falling behind in counts, and I don't think he was losing command on the fastball. Even though he was at his pitch count, and that was the most pitches he had thrown all season, I don't care. This is postseason baseball, and you stay with the hot hand. And with Bodine coming up, yes, he was a switch hitter. He's the guy who hit the go-ahead bomb off Ryan Hetzler in the 10th. With Bodine coming up, he was going to hit from the right side of the plate. If he would have found his way on against Griffin Graves, then you could have went to Ryan Hetzler. But Griffin Graves didn't even give up a hit. And he had 5 punchies. And you pulled him. I don't get it. That is one of the things that is going to haunt me about this Friday night game and going down 1 in this series. That is the thing that might haunt me the most, is pulling Griffin Graves. Now, We can reverse back to the bottom of the ninth in this game. Bub Terrell gets on. Ike Irish gets on. We got runners on first and second. Nobody out. Cooper McMurray coming to the plate. Told my buddy, I was on the headset with him. He said, man, you got to bunt here, right? I said, they're not going to bunt. Gabe Gross is not going to bunt Cooper McMurray. He's not going to do it. And I can tell you this right now, and this is how I feel in baseball, and I think this is how majority of America feels about baseball. I don't give a damn who's at the plate. You bunt the runner over. And that is what has been lost in today's game of baseball, is every guy 1 through 9 should know how to sack bunt. Every guy should know how to lay down a bunt. Every guy. And they don't now because it's not being taught. It's not. And I get Gabe's, I get his mindset right there, and I get where he was thinking as Coop had just hit a ball hard and he hit one out to right field off the wall and all that good stuff, right? I get that. But this is to win a baseball game, to move on to Omaha, Nebraska. This isn't the regular season anymore. If it would have been the regular season, I'd have been like, damn, man, tough break. You didn't catch one. This is the postseason. You were one step away from Omaha, Nebraska. Lay the damn bunt down. I don't care who it's with in your order. Yesterday, in the 7th inning, when Coastal Carolina had their inning to send them to Omaha, Nebraska, their 3-hole, the Bertall kid, he comes up. What's he do? Sack bunt. Move the runner in scoring position. 3-hole. This is a guy who hits over 300. You didn't see Coastal fans sitting there going, oh, let him swing away. Let him swing away. No. You lay the bunt down. Get your guy into scoring position. And then what happens? Coop strikes out. Coop strikes out. So now you got first and second, 1 out. First and second, 1 out. Lucas Steele at the plate. He hits a soft line drive back up the box. Everybody thinks it's getting through. Bub Terrell takes off to win the game. And there he is, the man himself. Lays out, snags it, pitches it back to second. They get out of the inning scot-free. All because you didn't lay down the bunt. And here's my next point about bunting with Coop. If you do lay down the bunt and you advance your runners to second and third, now their infield is in on the grass, and that soft line drive from Lucas Steele bleeds through into center field, and you win the baseball game. Their second baseman, he isn't playing where he's playing with 1 out, runners on first and second. He's playing in on the grass because they're trying to cut the run down at home plate to not lose the game. And that soft line drive bleeds through to center field, and Lucas Steele is the hero. And instead, you didn't want to bunt, and it cost you a baseball game. And then on top of that, like we just talked about, you pulled Griffin Graves, brought in Ryan Hetzler, Bodine goes Yabo. And Coastal goes up 1-0 in the series. Now, Bub Terrell in game 1, 0 for 4, 2 Ks. Cooper McMurray in game 1, 2 for 4, 2 Ks. Not mad about the 2 for 4. We were just striking out a whole hell of a lot. Derek Fabian, 0 for 4. My key to the series was Eric Guevara's injury. I told y'all last Monday with Taylor on his live show, the key to the series was Eric Guevara's injury. Because Derek Fabian was going to have to play shortstop. And guys, I'm sorry, but at this stage in the season, you cannot have your shortstop, who is a senior, hitting .230 in college baseball. Cannot happen. And I'm sorry, I hate that. But I've been saying it since probably the South Carolina series, that Eric Snow needed to be your shortstop, Eric Guevara at 3B, and Rembert at 2B. That should be it. And I love Derek Fabian. I thank him for transferring to Auburn. But it was so bad, and he was so messed up mentally in the box that he had no shot. Anytime you get into the box and you immediately squared a bunt, you're toast. You're toast. Every AB, you step in the box and you squared a bunt, you're toast. Now, I'm not saying you can't go in there and try to lay down a base hit bunt, work on your game, maybe steal a hit, right? But every single AB, you walk in there and you're immediately squaring the bunt, you're toast. You're cooked. You have no confidence here to hit the damn baseball. And Eric Guevara's injury was massive for the Auburn Tigers this weekend because you got no production whatsoever out of Derek Fabian at the plate. None. And I probably could have told you that going into the series because that's how cooked he was. And I had people up on the wall last weekend. I had people up on War Eagle Wall. They're sitting there, and Fabian makes a huge play. And Fabian makes a huge play. Sorry, my wife just texted me, y'all. Fabian makes a huge play. And they're like, oh, they look down at me and they're like, that's why he's at short. That's why he's at short. And I look down and I'm like, hey, he can't hit his weight. It's going to cost us. It's going to cost us games because he can't hit. There's a saying in baseball. If you can hit, they'll find a place for you. If you can hit, they'll find a place for you. All right. Look at the Philadelphia Phillies. Bryce Harper, he can hit. So what they do? He had the elbow issue. Had to go get Tommy John. They moved him to first base. Nick Castellanos, go out to right field, dog. All right. If you can hit, they'll find a place to put you. Guess what? Chase Fralick, he showed that he could hit. Ike Irish, he could hit. So what they do with Ike, they said, hey, you go to right field. Chase Fralick, you go catch because we need both of your bats in the lineup. If you can hit, they'll find a place. And if you can't hit, your ass is going to the bench. Period. And that's baseball for you. And this isn't downing Derek Fabian episode. That's not what I'm here to do. But that Eric Guevara injury was massive. And you can't look past it. You can't. I think if EG is healthy, it's probably a different series because Eric Guevara is hitting in the 2-hole and Bub Terrell is not. Bub Terrell is not. He's back down in the bottom of the order. And Bub Terrell come up in a couple of crucial situations. And look, he's a freshman, right? I'm not on his case. I'm not mad at Bub. I think he's a great player. I think he's going to do great things at Auburn. But he showed that he was a true freshman. And that's fine. Guys struggle, right? Guys struggle, but you didn't need him to struggle. You didn't need him to struggle. You needed Bub Terrell to be huge. I told y'all last Monday night on Taylor's live show that Bub Terrell was still the X factor because of Eric Guevara's injury, and he was going to have to hit in the 2-hole. And he didn't produce. And that's baseball, right? It's the game of failure. It will humble you faster than anything. And it's a game where if you go 3 for 10 and you hit 300, you're considered a Hall of Famer. So, man, it keeps going in. It keeps going dark and bright and everything like that, man. But look, Bub Terrell, like I said, he just didn't produce out of the 2-hole, hitting in front of Ike and then hitting behind Ike. Coop, he produced Friday night. We should have bunted, in my opinion. I get why we didn't. Gabe Gross is not his mentality. It's not his style of coaching. And Derek Fabian 0 for 4. And then in game 2, let's just move to game 2. Flush game 1, move to game 2. So you're facing their ace in the Morrison kid. He throws over 100 pitches. He was great. fantastic. This is why I felt like game one was a must win, right? And you lose 4-1. You were up 1-0. It felt like the entire game. You get into the seventh and you fall apart. Cade Fisher had bases loaded, no outs in a previous inning, and he gets out of it. You really felt like, hey, this is the opportunity to leave our mark on this baseball game. Like this is our opportunity to go out and make something happen. And Auburn had a guy reach base every single inning yesterday. Every single inning of the game, they had a guy reach base, and they couldn't capitalize. They couldn't get a 2-out hit. They couldn't. They damn sure couldn't hit with runners in scoring position. What were we, 1 for 15 or something on the weekend? I don't know. Hell, it was awful. So you had opportunities, but you couldn't come through. And eventually, Coastal Carolina, they started, I think they went 5 straight innings with getting the leadoff guy on or something close to that, 4 straight innings. It was crazy. But when that started happening, you were eventually going to get a hit and push through. And they did. The Sebastian, what was his name? Sebastian Alexander come up and got the double. And there you go, man. That's all it took. And then you have the Cade Fisher fielding the bunt. Brutal there. Like, it took the weird hop and everything. You watch the spin off the ball, and it trickles away from him. He collects it. He throws it up the line, and Coop, he misses it. Like, he just flat out missed it. He flat out missed it. And love Coop to death, but you got to catch that. If you want to go to Omaha, you got to catch that baseball. Got to catch that baseball. I talked to Coop last night in DMs, and I thanked him for coming to Auburn. I'm so incredibly thankful that he chose Auburn, man. But you got to catch that baseball. Teams that win national championships don't make errors like that, and so they took the lead in the seventh, 2-1, and they kept hitting 3-1, and then they got an insurance run in the eighth. We just couldn't stop them. It was a trickle down effect. And we hit batters with the bases loaded and things like that, man. It just stuff that can't happen. There was multiple times in the series too where we would walk the 6 hole, K the 7 hole, and then hit the 8 hole or walk the 8 hole. And I'm like, hey, you can't walk the 8 hole. You can't walk the 9 hole. Those guys have to swing the bat. They have to swing the bat. And we didn't make it happen. And once again, I got to point out these guys. Bub Terrell, 1 for 5, 3 Ks in game 2. Cooper McMurray, 0 for 4, 4 Ks. Derek Fabian, 0 for 3, 1 K. Those 3 guys combined were 3 for 24 in the series. Bub and Coop were 3 and 17. So Fabian was 0 for 7. So there you go. You had 3 guys in your lineup that struggled extremely, extremely bad, and that can't happen. That can't happen because Derek Fabian hits in the 9 hole. Bub Terrell hits in the 2 hole. So they were kind of, Coop hits in the 4 hole. So they were all right there together, man. And it just felt like a blunder of outs on the way. And Coop, when he messaged me last night, he said, you don't know how bad I wanted this to go extremely different. And I said, I know, man. I know. And watching him miss that baseball, it kind of crushed me a little bit because I didn't want it to end like this. I didn't. I wanted this team to get to Omaha. It was one of my favorite teams. But, that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes. Like I said at the beginning of the show, that's baseball for you. And Eric Guevara, I want to touch on Eric Guevara. A guy that he just hadn't caught a break at Auburn. He's been injured. You hate to see it for him because when he left last week against Stetson, I said, man, EG's out. I was like, this ain't good. I was like, why is Fabian at short? And Snow got moved to third. They told me, they were like, hey, man, they think EG's hamstring is, he tweaked it. And I was like, oh, no. Like I told y'all, I just felt like he had to be in there for Auburn to have a chance. And he comes up in the ninth in a pinch hit roll for Fabian, and he drives the ball out into right field for a base hit. And he limps down to first. They pinch run for him. Dude, the guts you got to have to come out. I mean, dude's playing on one leg and comes out and gets a hit. And I think that was salt in the wound right there, because these dudes were on two legs all weekend and couldn't get no hits. And he's on one leg, and you can see the other leg's wrapped up. He's got compression all over it. And he comes out here and drives a line drive out of right field for a base hit. And we couldn't do nothing with runners in scoring position. Nothing. But I do want to give a shout out to Andres Alvarez. 4 innings pitched, 4 hits, 2 walks, and a K. I thought he was very impressive his last 2 starts. I thought he was very, very impressive. I thought it was a solid outing. The freshmen on this baseball team are going to be exceptional. This baseball team is going to be super fun to watch, man. I thought Cade Fisher was great yesterday. Yeah, he ran into that inning and the error happened, but it was phenomenal to watch him and how he struggled at the beginning of the year. He went to the bullpen and he got really solid for us towards the end of the year. And I just think if this young core stays together, this Auburn baseball team is going to have a magical season here soon. I think this team could bring a national championship to Auburn, and I've said that the past couple of years that Butch Thompson will eventually win a national championship at Auburn. I truly believe that. I think you're scratching on the surface right now. I think you're scratching on the surface. But look, tough series, tough way to end the season in front of all those fans. It hurt. I'll be honest with you, I'm still not over it. I'm still hurting. It took me a while to go to bed last night, just sitting up thinking about it. And this is a team that, I watch religiously and I don't miss a game. And I was on a 10-hour drive to San Antonio to watch the basketball team play in the Final Four, and I had my phone locked in, still watching the Alabama series. I was completely locked in, and it sucks that it's over. But that's sports. It happens. Everybody's season's got to eventually come to an end. There ain't but one winner. Brett says, War Damn fam, what is up, Brett? Hope you were having a heck of a Sunday morning. I feel bad more for you and Ike and Coop than anything else. Dude. Ike Irish, y'all know how I feel about Ike. I can't say enough about that dude. I think he's the GOAT of Auburn baseball myself. I know some people disagree, but I don't really care. I think he's the best baseball player Auburn's ever seen, and I'll die on that hill. I know what they had in the past. I know Bo Jackson, Frank Thomas, Tim Hudson all played at Auburn. But in today's time, the pitching the way it is and how dominant he was at the plate, his ability to play right field, left field, center field, first base, catcher, it didn't matter. Ike Irish could do it, man. Ike Irish could do it. He battled through injury while he was at Auburn. He did it all, hitting 360 and never dipped below 319 in his career. And I think he's great. He went from not elevating his freshman year to elevating and hitting 19 bombs this year. I just think he's great, man. And I hate it for Coop. I know this is a recap show, but what do you think the team will look like next year? Already have some transfers coming in. I'm gonna do an episode on that, Brett. Probably within the week, I'll do an episode on that and release it to y'all. Because I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna deep dive into these numbers for these transfer portal guys. I'm gonna reach out and see if we're gonna have any guys go into the portal that played a lot of innings this year. I'm gonna do all that. And I will bring you guys a show, and we'll talk about 2026 Auburn baseball. Any chance the pressure of having the first super regional at home got to them? No, I think I'm going to give credit to Coastal Carolina on how they pitched our lefties. and they really frustrated our left-handed hitters, feeding them inside, staying in on their hands, not letting them get comfortable and extend out over the plate like we did against Stetson. You saw Bub Terrell, Cooper McMurray take balls down the left field line against Stetson and things like that. They didn't. Coastal Carolina didn't allow that. They didn't allow for our hitters to get comfortable, especially the lefties, man. And I'm going to credit them. Great story from their head coach and everything he's been through in his life. For him and his family to get back to Omaha is extremely special. I think they're a great baseball team. They're the best mid-major baseball team in the country. I don't care what division they play in. I don't give a damn. They are really, really good. They already have one national championship. They could win a second national championship. I can tell you, with the way Bodine leads that team and that pitching staff, they could very, very much win the national championship in Omaha, Nebraska. So, with that being said, we're going to get out of here, man. Great recap show, and I'll be back Tuesday night, 7 p.m. So, come join the live Tuesday night. We'll talk about Auburn football. I'm not really sure what we'll talk about yet, but like this video, share this video, and subscribe to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. I think Taylor is going live tomorrow night. So if you want to hop in his live and check out his content, please go do that. I will let you guys know on Twitter what we are going to talk about Tuesday night. I got some time to sit down and think about it. We might go over to the defensive side of the ball, maybe O-line or something like that. I don't know. I gotta figure out my schedule and things like that. So I will let you guys know on Twitter, and catch me back here 7 o'clock Central Tuesday night for Auburn Primetime Live. I'm out. War Damn Eagle.